all these real-time data to analyze the student behavior and predict that this student might be failed. So before the end of the semester, we contact the student and try to encourage them to, learn or change the behavior and things like that. And because these data analytics are close to maybe the big data analysis, and once the library has the data analytics skills, then maybe this is also relevant to a library's job. And in many cases, in states, some universities, libraries are dealing with online courses and course materials, so this is also relevant to libraries. Let's move to the public library, a very quite different scene. This is the place to support problem solving of users. And this is to support long life learning of the community. And in these days, they are asked to support a comprehensive reference service for clients' problem solving. As I told you that after the web service is available, simple problem can be solved by individuals. So only those difficult problems are asked in the libraries. And there are 4 areas: health and medical information for patients and family, business information for local business and entrepreneurs, and legal information for local clients, and science and technology information for lifelong learning. You see that this is quite, similar to what I learned from my professional experience. So these 4 areas are very important for everyday life of people or company or business. And also, public libraries are expected to provide information literacy training. Like I told you about our university, there are aging population in Japan. Very quickly, our population is aging. And we are expected to, train them to be digitally, active, or maybe able to use digital information. And you know that elder people are more likely to be sick. And when they want to find good doctors or good treatment, then the paper-based information is not useful anymore. So they are, we expect them to go to the website, but they don't have access. So that's the problem. And also, because of that, the information seeking training for local clients. These are the things the public libraries are doing or expected to do. And the school libraries, this is the place for information literacy education and support to enhance student reading skills. Like in Japan, some elementary schools has the requirement for students to read 10 minutes every day, and libraries provide these books for students to read. And reading paper book is very important to develop the thinking skill, so to speak. And also the school libraries offer space and tools for inquiry-based learning, and offer space for alienated students. Maybe I need to explain a little bit about it. This is the hidden phenomena in school libraries in these days. When a student cannot come to the classroom because of the many reasons, like, they are very hyper sound program, or they have conflict with other students, or these things, then schools, particularly in Japan, we are elementary schools and middle schools are compulsory education. So schools want to keep the student to come to the school. And if the student cannot come into the classroom, then they allow students to stay in libraries or other place in the school. And in these days, the number of the students come to the school libraries to spend whole day in school is kind of, trendy. And once they graduate from the middle school, they can just go to the high school online and then get some entrance exam with the university. Then some of them are highly, highly educated and still survive. But so the school library is the place to remedy these students. And of course, school libraries and librarians support teaching or teachers. And the special libraries, which is the knowledge management hub of companies. Of course, there are many special libraries other than business, but most of the special libraries are company libraries. They are doing record keeping and business intelligence and manage and analyze internal data and handle and curate big data and Hadoop and big data analytics for marketing and archives. And this morning, the keynote speakers was talk about big data, and here again, and big data is a big issue in these days, and the special libraries, particularly in the company special libraries, there is almost no printed materials, but just computers. And you have to deal with internal data and external data, and not analyze, but manage and analytics. So handle it. So that's the business of special libraries in business. Then let's move to the research on library and information science education. There are many research going on on this topic, but I will concentrate on these 5. The CALIPA in North America in 1998 to 2000, and European curriculum in Europe, and LIPA in Japan, and the Globalis and the trends of MLS programs, which I was involved in 2016, which is the last year. Okay. CALIPA. Let me sit. This is the project conducted between 1998 and 2000 by 20 schools working in 5 teams, representing 13 programs in the United States, Canada, and England, assessed the nature and extent of major curriculum change in library and information science education across North America. And they found that in addition to library as institutions and library-specific operations, library and information science curricula are addressing broad-based information environments and information programs. And the second findings was, while library and information science curricula continue to incorporate perspectives from other disciplines, a distinct core has taken shape that the predominantly user-centered. Then library and information science schools are offering institutions in different formats, such as online, to provide students with more flexibility. In the North American programs, most of them provide online programs. And the library and information science schools are expanding their curricula by offering related degrees at the undergraduate, master's, and doctoral level. So this was the findings of the 2000, and this trend is continue and spread over to other countries. And European curriculum, which was studied in 2002, and in Europe, there was a study conducted based on the collaboration of Royal School of Library and Information Science and Euclid, the professional organization of library and information science educational institutions. The goal of the study was to identify the current situation of European library and information science education program in order to develop a common curricula reflecting with the Bologna process to reform them to be research-oriented universities. This study identified 3 core areas unique to library and information science. They are knowledge organization, information use behavior, and information retrieval. And following the North American model of professional library and information science education on master's level, with the definition of specific professional skills, they developed the model of European curriculum. This is the graphical representation of the European curriculum in 2002 and 2004. The core is the knowledge management, and surrounding that, there are 2 important areas of information retrieval and information seeking. And around this core and subcore, there are main topics of the library and information science education, like library user education, history of libraries, and mediation of culture. This is very unique to Europe because, in Europe there are many different countries and different language and different culture. So libraries has a mission to mediate culture. And children's library, information policy, knowledge management, library management, user study, and informatics. And this is the third circle represents the library and information science. And external to that area, there are general science in general, humanities, and social science. So this is the model European curricula was developed, but that based on. And then this figure represents the new structure of the European curriculum integrated into the framework of Bologna model. The level 1, the lowest level, represents undergraduate library and information science minor offered as a part of other specialization. Like, there is in my country there is a librarians certificate which is provided as a part of undergraduate program in maybe Faculty of Arts or Science or whatever. That's the level 1. And the level 2, undergraduate list, which is represent the undergraduate list major, which is the minimum qualification for library and information professionals. And level 3 represent master level professional education of library and information science. And this is equivalent to the MLS degree offered in North America. And once you complete education of this level, you'll be able to apply for a professional job. And level 4 represent doctoral education for researchers, teachers, and higher level librarians such as directors. So, basic methodology in library and information science is ontology, computer science, linguistic, philosophy, social science, research method, and bibliometrics. And the Bologna process, reference to the Bologna process, bachelor's at least 3 years, master's at least 2 years, and doctor at 3 years. And ETCTS is the way of converting different unit system each other, so that you can carry the unit or carry all this education to other universities in other countries and finally get the certification. LIPER is a project in Japan, and I was involved in this. And honestly speaking, until I was involved in this project, I've never thought about the education of information professionals at all. I was doing my business and also interested in research. So the LIPER, a Library and Information Profession and Educational Renewal, this was the 3-year research project to study library and information science education systems and curricula in Japan and overseas for a possible reform of Japanese library and information science education system. And this project was completed in March in 2006. The major findings are the structure of Japanese library and information science education has remained unchanged for 50 years, and the gap between it and overseas education has been ever increasing. The curriculum and content are not well standardized or integrated into higher education programs, and very few graduates get employed in the library market. Then why they get this weird, stand? And based on all these interviews, we found that this is a national certificate, and you can put it on your resume when you do the job hunting or whatever. So they really wanted to get this certificate, even though they are not willing to work in the libraries. But anyway, some of them are interested in working in the libraries. And other findings. Many people seek to obtain, many people seek to obtain library and science education for certification as librarians, even though employment opportunity for full-time libraries are quite limited. And based on the findings, the LIPER project proposed to establish library and information science examination for students so that they are able to self-evaluate what they have learned through library and information science education and obtain better employment opportunities. And the second proposal is to introduce a new standard curriculum for information professional education to emphasize core area of information organization, information resources and services, information systems and retrieval and management. So this is the model we developed based on the LIPER project. So core areas is introduction to library and information science, and information users, information media, information service, information systems, management, and digital resource. And external to this core area, there's in the top professional academic librarian. So this is the specially arranged courses for academic libraries, and the professional public librarian, and special librarians in medical and legally or handicapped, and also professional school library and media science specialist. And we tried to do this examination and following this model But it was not very successful, for honestly speaking. So we just quit doing that examination. And globally, this was the project led by myself with 2 other researchers. We developed a database for core courses and master level library and information programs, and gathered a description of 286 courses in 34 programs offered by colleges and universities in 18 countries. Even though we invited participants from educators from overseas, data collection was mainly carried out by us, 3 globalists. Project members. And data were analyzed into standard curriculum for education of information professionals, which we developed through the A-LIEP. And then course characteristics could be assigned to 8 categories. And specific characteristics of course distribution was identified according to the geographic region of Asia, Oceania, North America, and Europe. So I'm going to show you the trends. This is the trend in Asia. There are 2 core courses of basics of library and information science and information resource organization, scored 27.6% and 24.6%. Respectively. And library and information science programs in this region generally have an introduction to library and information science at the first required course for all students. And the slightly longer share for information resource organization is probably a reflection that many Asian LIS programs still emphasize printed books and journals in general studies, rather than digital contents or materials in a particular genre. That this trend might change after maybe 5 years, but at that time, printed oriented. And the other has a 3rd largest share. And that's why indicate the several graduate level library and information science professional program in Asian countries require students to write master's thesis. So this figure represents that trend. And this is the Oceania. The core course of information research organization account for the largest share of 20%